Good. So I think what we'll do is we'll get started because we probably will be running a little over time because it takes a little time. So Stephanie and I talked about maybe going on until 1:15. If any of you are, if you guys are okay with that, if you have to jump off, it's fine. But we probably will go on until that time. So I would ask everybody if you can just initially to go ahead and mute out. I'll go ahead and start off, and then I'll turn it over to Stephanie. So Stephanie and I are going to tag team with this, throughout the whole call until she gets to the part of my guest.
Well, you'll still be an active participant. It'll be a tag team.
Trust me, I know that. So everybody, I'm Debra Dixon-Anderson. I'm the founder and CEO of Light of Gold PR Marketing, and we do PR marketing, branding, digital. We do events. We typically do live events, but now we're doing virtual events as well. And we also do a lot in the advertising space. We're working with a lot of different people virtually now, Stephanie being one of them, to go ahead and bring these wonderful programs to you guys, So we also have started a couple of platforms, so GoBusinessConnect.com, which is probably where some of you have registered. That's where we do a lot of our events, our virtual events as well. And then we have a new platform called Go Wellness Circle. So I see some of my friends in my Zumba class and yoga classes and stuff. So for that platform, it's just kind of to keep everybody moving and having a schedule of working out, and then some wellness check-ins to just kind of help everybody out as we're going through this COVID-19 period. And, mental wellness, meditation, we're going to have all that over on the Gold Wellness Circle platform. And the best thing about it is at least a good 40 to 50% of our proceeds will be going to either provide a lunch for first responders or to help somebody who lost their job and they can't feed their family. So we're really excited about that. We literally just started that within the past week or two as a response to COVID-19. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about myself and Light of Gold PR, and just jumping right into this, just like some of you, I work from home just a tiny part of the week pre-COVID-19, not 100% of the time. This a closet, basically. So we dug it out because now my husband's also working from home, just like a lot of you families, different people are together, or you're just not used to being home all the time like this. And so I have a desk back here that, believe it or not, you probably wouldn't have seen the desk itself. So I'm glad that you can see the desk, but still need some help. Wasn't really able to navigate in this room. Now we could both kind of tiny bit use it, but still needs a lot of help. And so definitely need Stephanie's help with that. So just like a lot of you, you're now having to use spaces that at home that maybe you haven't looked at using, or maybe you have an area that you always said, I'll get to it. That's what I used to say about the second bedroom. Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get it done. And it never got done. Now I don't have a choice. I got to get it done, right? We're hunkered down. Let's go ahead and get it done. So if you want, you can mute out, and then you can also put everything into speaker view in your upper right-hand corner. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie Shalofsky.
Okay. Well, Debra, it's been a pleasure working with you on this, and I look forward to getting these organizing sessions started so that we can really transform your home office into a really viable space for you to be able to work at. That way you'll have a dedicated space. You won't have to be on the dining room table, which is where I believe you're currently working, and you don't have to clear that so you can have dinner. So there's a lot of benefits here. So why don't we just get started so that we can really focus on the organizing piece of it, and then so everybody knows we're going to do some Q&A after we do the organizing piece. So think of your questions, and then feel free to ask us once we finish with the organizing. So to start with, let's set the stage. Debra, as we discussed, you want to create a really productive workspace for yourself in your second bedroom. That's the objective. And you have a desk, which is great, so that makes it easier. You have a place to go to, except that desk right now is cluttered with a whole bunch of stuff. The stuff being anywhere from, I believe there were piles of papers or other items on it when we were looking at it the other day. So right now, we want to really tackle that and have a systematic approach to that. So let's just talk very briefly about a couple of things, and then we're going to dive in and really get started. So to start with, if we could wave that magic wand, what would that desk area look like for you?
Oh my gosh, it will be completely cleared off except for my supplies like scissors, pens, pencils, Post-its, you know, just my supplies. I love to have like motivational words and stuff around the desk, so that's really important to me.
Okay.
So that would probably, I have a couple of those things that are like sitting on a box or on the floor, but I would like to get them to the wall at some point. But yeah, it would just be, you know, the files would be organized. I usually have like a lot of my equipment from when I do shows. I have my own camcorders and cameras and stuff like that. They probably wouldn't even be over there because, you know, I have books and my business cards and everything over there. Those would probably need to be in other places. So everything that's in there now wouldn't be there, but I would like to have my books that I do like to use, whether they're motivational books or other types of books, and, you know, organized. And there is a space for that, but it's not really being utilized like it should be. So, okay, I just want to put out a disclaimer, everybody. Do not judge me, okay? This is a very, this is very bearing me naked type of stuff here. Do not judge me, okay? So when I thought about this with Stephanie and I talked about this, I said, can I do like a little bit of cleanup before I just open up the world to the second bedroom so everybody can see this entire crazy mess? And so we were able to make a tiny bit of headway beforehand, but this is very, very bearing for me, just so that you know.
Well, Debra, I really appreciate you sharing that, because that's how a lot of people feel when they've got these kind of projects. And I give you tremendous credit and kudos for being willing to let us all into the space and basically watch you on this journey. So that's to your credit. That's really good, and you'll have a lot of moral support, because everybody on this call, I'm sure, has some kind of an organizing challenge and can, you know, feel the challenge and overwhelm that you're going through. So good for you.
Thank you.
So this is a supportive environment. You know, nobody's judging, starting with me and everybody else on the call. So
and it's a safe space.
Safe space. You got it. It's a safe space. Okay, so we can see you've got a great desk there because you've got all the compartments and shelves above the workspace, and then you've got some, I think, below the desktop as well, right? I can't see for sure. But do you have cabinets or drawers below? Yeah, okay, good. Now I can see. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's talk about the stuff. You've got papers and you've got stuff.
Yeah, binders. Lots of binders.
Right.
Files.
Okay, well, binders we'll consider as part of the paper piece of it, because it's obviously that's what's in them. So which area would have the greatest impact if we were to target it first? Would it be the paper stuff or the other stuff?
Probably my Achilles heel, to be honest with you, is probably the paper stuff.
Okay.
that's kind of my area to really kind of focus on. I could always find some place to put the other stuff like pens, you know, Post-its, but paper that's it for me.
Okay, so paper is where we'll look. Now, just one other point, and then we're going to dive in. When we're doing this, we want to make sure that we are very systematic in how we tackle this, because you have stuff in all different parts of the desk. And if we were to start in the left-hand corner and then all of a sudden jump to the upper right and then come back to the desktop and just keep bouncing all over the place like a ball in the pinball machine, we wouldn't make a lot of progress very fast, and we'd
Right.
probably overwhelm ourselves and frustrate ourselves. So we would just basically throw up our hands and walk away. So we don't want that to happen. So we want to be very systematic and choose a starting point, and then work around the entire space in a very orderly fashion. So that's the first point. The second point I want to share is we need to be collaborative, okay? Because what's going to work for me isn't necessarily going to work for you. So between us, we're going to figure out what the solutions are as we go through this. Okay, so it's a team effort. It's not just me telling you, it's us coming together and working together to find the solution.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
The next part of this, and this is really key because this goes to actually seeing the work done, is giving thought to when during the next 7-day period you're going to actually carve out the time to work on the space, because as I mentioned to you, I was going to give you some homework assignments.
Yes.
So basically it's going to be really key that you start giving thought to, well, how long do you think it's going to take you to do those assignments? And we'll talk about this more when we get to them. And then if it's, you say it's going to take you, 4 hours, then we say, okay, you don't have to do 4 hours in one day. Let's do a half hour a day for the next, number of days, or maybe we do a little bit more a day. So we're going to figure that piece out, because you have to have the time scheduled every day. Otherwise, you're going to be pulling an all-nighter next Thursday night so you can show us what you've done. And we don't want you to do that.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay.
So
Sounds
those are sort of the ground rules, and that's going to be our approach. So for today, we're going to identify the areas we're going to work in. We're going to come up with strategies, and we'll have homework assignments as a result of all that. So
Okay.
to get
And
started,
just to remind everybody, Stephanie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt you, but to
Go ahead.
remind everybody, there is a part 2 to this. So next Friday is the part 2, this to see how well I did my homework and how this looks over here. So that's part 2, and that's going to be at the same time next Friday. Hopefully everybody can join us and see how well I did.
well, we know you'll be a good student.
Yes.
Okay, supplies. So very quickly, you have trash bag, recycling, place for shredding, Post-it note, Sharpie, that kind of stuff?
This little bag here, let me see.
Okay.
It's, I have one trash bag, which probably will not be enough.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
I probably need to get another one. So I have a trash bag and I have a box.
Okay.
Down right here at the bottom, I do have a Sharpie and I have a notebook.
Okay.
And like kind of something to label everything, kind of like a label, which is going to stand in for my Post-its.
Okay, that's fine.
Mhm.
Okay, because like any other organizing project, you want to gather your supplies and your tools before you start. So that way you're not starting and then having to run out of the room to get a garbage bag and then come back and then 5 minutes later you need to go get something else, because that's very disruptive. And a lot of times when you leave the space, you're not always going to come back to it. So we want to set you up for success. So have all the homework, all the supplies ready before you start. So let's get started. We're gonna talk paper, because paper is the challenge for you, and there's a bit of it on this desk. So let's see where all the paper is. So paper is in some of these, on some of these shelves, I see, right?
Files.
Okay.
Yeah. Mostly in the files, the binders. These are like business cards. Then I have a little, because this was like a kind of a junk drawer for a while. So, I'm kind of a tech head, so I have a lot of like laptops and computers and stuff in here. So this stuff I feel like I could probably segment out and put in a different area.
Okay, just Deb, I just want to interrupt you for a sec. Could you just angle the camera down a little bit? Okay, good.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, so what we need to, two things first. Are your business files, do you keep them paper, digital, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you keep everything digital or just selective things digital? I'm sorry, selective, paper, let me rephrase it.
Yeah. I
Paper,
would like
selective or everything?
Yeah, I would like more things to be digital, to be honest with you. That's kind of where I want to go, is to like some things that are, you know, like, I don't know, old medical documents, stuff like that. I think one of the things maybe, Stephanie, to even mention is like just some things that you don't even need to keep that long. You know, it's like, okay, 7 years. Do I really need to keep this? Or should I, you know, so I try to scan as much as I can. So I would like to go into that area and purge more paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we need to do is we need to collect the paper. And
Okay.
basically what I'd like to do is in the space that I see, which the desktop and above, is to now do a quick sort so that we can gather all the paper in one space, in one section, so then we can sort it out and then determine what you're going to do with it. Okay. So what we want to do, we want to start, you know, I believe, do you have any paper on the top shelf above the
up here?
cabinets? Yeah.
That's where more of the books are up there.
Okay.
They just need to be organized. There's a tiny bit of paper up there, maybe a couple of files and stuff up there. And then on top of this, a little bit, you know, and I'm sure.
Okay, so it's not a lot up there. Okay.
No, it's not a lot.
Okay, so let's go back down to the desktop. Let me just do the desktop for a second. Just a little bit lower so I can see it. Okay, good. Okay, so what we're going to do is, on this case, because we need a surface to collect things on, let's do the desktop. So let's start in the right-hand corner of the desktop, and let's see what, so basically what we want to do is we want to see what's there, and we want to create piles. So we want to create a pile of stuff that you are going to then have to sort through, you know, paper stuff that you're going to sort through, and anything that's not paper, that's just stuff, you know, whether it be supplies or whatever, we want to sort separately. So basically, if we start with what's right in front of you on that right-hand side, I see something that's green and pink is the stapler, it looks like. Right?
Yeah. So you're talking about the bottom piece right here, Steph?
Yeah, right in front of me. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because this whole area is like 1, 2, 3 shelves. So I should start on the bottom shelf.
Yeah, but you know what? Scan up again. Let me just see again. It's hard to see this way. Okay, you know what? Start on the top shelf. Let's clear the top shelf and start collecting paper that you need to go through there. Yeah, I think that'll work a little better. So what's on the very top there? What's the thing in red?
There's like some books that I could take out. Maybe I could put over here in this section.
Put the books on top of the unit for now.
Okay, on top of the unit. Okay,
yeah,
I can
right
do
now
that.
we just need to start getting like with like so that we can then see how much stuff you have, so then we can find a home for it.
Okay, I could do that. So let me see if I could pop the laptop over here so that you guys can still see me working. 1 second. All right. So I am going to. Can everybody see? Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's good. Beth, you can't see?
Well, because what I'm just wondering is, instead of her moving the camera in, like, can you pull it back so we can see you and the whole desk?
Let me see.
Like, because right now all we see is that top section, but we don't see the desk where you're actually working on it.
Oh, you know, okay, so you can't.
All we see is that, but what I'm saying is, instead of you having to move the camera every time you move, if you put us back, we could see the whole desk. Like before when you were talking, we could see the whole desk. Right. Then we can see everything you do and you don't have to keep moving us.
Yeah, well, let me see. Let me tell you, if I put the laptop over here, which is where I started from, let's see if it can work over here better. How's that?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, because that's good. I mean, anybody else, like, what do you think? Because that way we can see the whole area.
It's possible. This is Eileen. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Eileen.
If you tilt your are you on a laptop? Is that what you're on a laptop?
Yes,
okay.
It's a laptop.
Okay, so you can do a couple different things. Exactly. If you tilt that a little bit down, because we don't need as much of your ceiling.
Right.
We'll see more. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. All right. How about now?
That's good. Okay, so let's start with that top section, Deb.
Yeah. So this is, ooh, it's an old tablet. I didn't even know I had this.
Okay, so that's where you're collecting electronics, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And then the books you said I could put up here.
yeah, put the books up there.
And then I have this little box down here that I could put like the paper stuff here for now.
Okay,
if that's
okay,
fine.
that's fine.
So I'll do that. And let me see, this is a little sign that I use for events. So all of this is mostly paper that's left. So
Okay.
it's all paper, like postcards and stuff, it's all paper. So I can put
Okay.
most of this in here. This is like staples, so I actually do have a place in over here to put this stuff. So I'll
Okay,
put
great.
that over there. Let's see. Again, all paper. Yeah, this is all paper. So I'll put this all here, right over here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, mostly paper. And these are business cards. I do have a place in my drawer for these, so I'll put this over here.
Good.
In my drawer. So I do have a place for that. Let me see. Oh, more paper. Paper. Yeah, so these are probably like some old business cards. I've always been on the fence about when I go to networking events, and I'm sure some of you can relate to this. Whenever I go to a networking event, do I want to keep all the cards, or
Right.
do I want to scan them? You know, because I do have a business card scanner that I can use. But then I'm always like, suppose I lose all of the business cards. Lose the file. So
Right.
that's one of the things that I always struggle with. So this area is all clear.
Okay, great.
It's mostly paper. So the books are up here. So that area is now clear. And then I just have to go through this, right?
Right, so then what we're gonna do, okay, so since paper is the challenge,
Yes.
this is what I'm gonna suggest. We're gonna start looking through some of the papers you just put in that container.
Okay.
So we can talk through the process of sorting them.
Okay.
And then this will be the model that you're to follow as you still continue to work through the desk. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay, so before we start sorting what's in that container, let's consider what possible categories that paper could go into. Okay?
Okay.
It could be stuff that you want to keep, so it has to be filed, right?
Right.
It could be stuff that just gets recycled or trashed or shredded because you don't need it,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
It could be maybe it's marketing materials and you file them with where you keep your marketing materials.
Right.
We know there are business cards because you mentioned those, so we'll talk about those.
Mhm.
What other category of information did you remember seeing as you quickly dumped the stuff into that container?
Yeah, mostly, I mean, for the most part, I do see like literature I might have picked up at a trade show or an event that I probably shouldn't have kept this long, that could probably be trashed. But
Okay.
I do see some marketing materials in there, and let's see, some things that need to be filed. Yeah, yeah. So this business cards.
Okay. Do you have files already set up in this space, or do you need to set them up?
I have some files that probably need to be changed based on, like the files that I have set up now. The filing system I have set up now probably have old files in there. So those files would need to probably be purged, and then I would put newer files in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do have some things that are, and some of these are files, like some things I put into a file folder, but they don't actually make it to, like a file cabinet. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So they end up on my desk.
Okay.
Stephanie,
Yes.
this is Adrian. I wanted to ask you a question. Are you suggesting that she does this a piece at a time, like shelf by shelf, or are you just doing that for demonstration purposes?
For demo purposes, because we only have a finite amount of time on this call, so I want to set her up with a model that she can then use to replicate to go through the rest of the space.
Okay, but in general, you're suggesting we put all the paper together totally before we begin this next process, right?
What I'm suggesting is you need to sort everything on that desk into categories and then deal with each category of stuff, you know, in terms of dispersing it or filing it or trashing it or whatever
Okay.
the case is going to be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Deb, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Let's go back and let's look at this box, the container of stuff that you have there. Now you have your trash bag and your recycle bag and your shredding or whatever categories of paper disposal you have right there. Okay.
Yeah, I have my bag.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's pick up the first item and that's in the container and let's see what it is.
Okay. So this is, yeah, this is definitely something I got from probably a networking event I picked up. And I'm thinking that it's an older document and there's probably something way more updated than this.
Right.
So
okay, so that's your answer then.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So I would throw this away.
Okay, very good. Okay, so why don't you trash that? And before you go on to the next one, I want to mention one thing. As part of the process of sorting out what's in the paper pile, an important issue to consider is retention guidelines. You know, what do you really need to keep and for how long?
And for how long?
Because if it's something like business taxes, of course, there are certain guidelines that apply to that. If it's marketing material that you picked up at a conference, chances are you might want to change your methodology. And if you, in fact, bring it home, then basically set a deadline for reviewing it and trashing it. Because, you know, a lot of the stuff is available online, as you said, so there's no reason necessarily to hold on to it and clutter up your space.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So be very selective about what you're bringing home from events.
So same thing. I mean, a lot of these are, you know, just paperwork I picked up at events. I go to a lot of shows. I usually have a booth at a lot of shows, so I have to be really careful because I have a journalism background and I like paper. I mean, I'm just kind of bearing my soul here. You know, I come from a generation where it's very tactile. And I haven't 100, even though I'm a techie, I have not 100% let that go. But I can look at this piece of paper and know that I picked it up at an event probably years ago and I don't need to keep it. And like you said, I could find this information online and I could trash it.
Okay, good.
You know, again, old event from 2015. And I have this in digital form already. It's probably on my website. It was an event that I hosted, so I don't really need to keep this.
Okay,
so
good.
I can get rid of that.
Okay.
So again, just more like information, paperwork that I'm finding from years ago. Now, if it was something that I wanted to revisit or check, you know, these are all like super old, like events. So flyers from events. I think one of the things I need to be better about, Stephanie, is when I decide to go to an event, I should really just put it on my calendar and then get rid of the actual paperwork at some point, the flyer, you know, because sometimes I'm just keeping it too long.
Right, because remember, Deb, this is something, a quote that one of my mentors has coined, and it's actually very true, and it is, clutter is postponed decisions. So it's like, don't let the clutter pile up, you know, just pick something up and deal with it that minute, because it's much easier to deal with these pieces of paper when you actually bring them into the space, instead of 6 months later or a year later when all of a sudden you've got this massive pile of stuff that now you have to sort out. Because who has the time? You know, you don't have the time to do it when it's a huge pile.
right, right. I did find some brochures that I would want to keep. So
Okay.
since I only have one thing in the kind of the tech box, I could put this keep stuff in there because I only have one item. Can I put it there?
But why don't you let's keep the
Should I
stuff
get stuff
separate.
separate?
Why don't you put it in the empty compartment you just created for the
Yeah.
temporarily?
Yeah, it's just yeah. Okay, so let me see if I can find another place to put this. I need
Now
access.
just put it in, Deb, in the shelf you just created.
Yeah, I have some place.
Okay.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, I have another one of these.
Okay, that's fine.
I could put it in here for now. And I'll just drop this right up here.
Okay, good.
Right, so going back to this paper box, I see like, okay, so these are like old receipts and they're not all that old. So most of the time receipts that I get, like when I buy supplies, or most of the time my business receipts, I try to get them emailed now, but I wasn't always at that place. So some receipts I like to go ahead and scan now and just go ahead and save it, you know, for tax purposes and stuff like that. So I would probably choose to keep this and scan it.
So it's to scan, so then you can trash it, right?
Right.
So what we
I can-
wanted-
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we want to set up a pile of to scan and trash then,
Okay, to scan.
okay?
Okay.
So we don't want to file it because that's not going to serve any purpose.
Right, right. I don't want to file it. So let's see. If I wanted to, if I don't, let me see. I'm just trying to figure out where I could put this.
Put it in the empty slot you just created.
Right here?
Yeah, and just you'll
Okay.
label it with a Post-it later that says to scan and file. Because you're
Okay.
going to find other stuff, I'm sure that's going to fit into that category.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I just found it just now. These business cards. This is what's been hard for me, because I'll go to the networking event, I collect these cards, and I do end up scanning them. They end up, you know, at some point maybe going on a list or something like that. But then it's like, do I keep this or do I scan it and then trash it? And so I think we've gotten to a place where we're starting to get rid of it, trash it, but that's always something that I'm concerned about. So,
Okay. Well, then it makes sense. Well, you got two issues. You've got old cards that you've collected from whatever that are on the desk now, and then you'll have whatever you collect going forward. So
Right.
the question is how you want to deal with the old cards. Does it make sense to even scan them at this point?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, yeah, probably not. I just looked at 2015, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, probably not.
So,
Okay.
Oh my God, this is so freeing.
Good, very good.
I feel so much lighter just from doing that. So,
Excellent.
So good. So these are, oh my God, we don't use CDs anymore. I used to print these out for some of the CDs. We don't use these. I'm gonna trash that.
Okay.
Don't use it anymore. This is just like paper that I would probably use in my printer. So this is
Oh, so put it on the printer then, and you can put it in the
yeah, I'll
paper
put that
trash.
on the printer right here. And okay, this is something that is probably 6 years old and probably comes out every year from the city of New York for small and minority businesses. And I am positive that there are more current versions of this. So it's going in the trash.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, I feel like I could take like a USA moment. So now I'm finding some medical stuff. I usually am always concerned about throwing that away. I don't feel comfortable trashing medical stuff because it might need to be referred to. So I guess the question is, do I keep it in a file? Do I scan it and still keep it in a file? Now, I have done both. I have gotten better about scanning. Lots of things now. I have a flatbed scanner. I just go ahead and scan things all the time. But I'm always concerned about actually getting rid of medical stuff that I might need to put my hands on. But I must tell you that the scanned version of it is so great to be able to have that electronic filing system where I could just pull it up, and if I need to send it to a doctor or send it somewhere, I could just email it.
Okay. Okay. I understand the sensitivity with medical information. I'm assuming you're talking about medical history type of
Yes,
information,
correct.
especially. Okay.
Yes.
So in that case, if you need to scan that, then it should go in the top cubby where your to scan pile is.
Okay, right up here. Okay. All right. Yeah, now some of this, yeah, this is old. This is, yeah, more medical information, so I'll put it up there in the scanning area. Medical. Let's see. Actually, that would be better. Let me look at this. Okay, yeah, this is a guide from my bank, actually from 2015. I could throw that away.
Okay, good.
That's super old. And then just looking in here at some of the other stuff that was, yeah, these are like advertisements, you know, stuff like that I could definitely throw away.
Okay.
God, I'm getting down to the bottom. Ooh, getting excited. Those were some marketing materials, so I put them in that box. Let's see. Yeah, these are like, yeah, old labels, stuff like, let's see, yeah, little old bank stuff, maybe from, yeah, this is like really old. Like most of the stuff I'm finding is at least a good 4 or 5 years old.
Okay, so that makes the decisions
Yeah.
easy. Mhm.
So, you know, advertisements again. This is all stuff I could trash again from years ago. So I'm looking, I think, based on what's on the desk, it's stuff from 3 to 5 years ago, at least.
Okay.
And yeah, old things that I, again, picked up at a conference. I'm putting it in there. I mean, most of my literature is, I have to be very selective now because I think my husband started to ban me from bringing too much stuff back from shows, and especially if it's bad. I must admit that because it becomes this, and
Right,
then I'm
exactly.
up to it. So now I'm getting better about being selective about what I even pick up.
Good, excellent.
Yeah, because it's easy to just want to pick up everything. You just can't.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Can't
No,
do it.
definitely not.
Yeah.
So how much more do you have left in the container?
Yeah, it's getting really sparse in here.
Okay.
Just a little bit more. Yeah, these are like old advertisements. Yeah, old menus from places restaurants that I love, but that actually have closed. So I don't need this menu. So I'm putting that in the trash. So here's the thing maybe to look at. My uncle passed away 2 years ago. I have so many of his obituaries, but I don't need like 10 of them. My family has it already. I should keep one, not 10 or 5, you know. So you know, certain things that are mementos, I'm sure a lot of people go through this when you have a loved one that's passed away. You can't, you know, you can keep one, but I don't want to keep too many of them. So
No, and in fact, could you even scan that? Is it just a one pager?
I can actually scan it.
Yeah.
I
You might want to scan it then.
Scan it and keep that. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. So I'll put that up here.
Yes, okay. Okay, let's stop right here, Deb. I think you've got the gist of it, and I just wanted to take a small bunch of paper so that we could just walk through the process.
Yeah.
And I wanted to actually clear a space so that you had a place to start collecting the scanning stuff.
I got a space.
Cool.
Oh my gosh.
Very good. Okay, so now, going forward, then this is going to be my direction to you.
Okay.
As you're sorting the stuff in the rest of the desk and the other cubbies, if you find things like the stuff that's, from 2015, just dump it in the trash. Don't bother collecting it in a paper bin. Just shortcut that process. You don't need to collect it and then sort it out again. So you could do the sort and discard, or sort and purge as one process.
Okay, so now you're getting me in trouble, Stephanie, and I'll tell you why. Because I think I hear Rick, my husband, applauding in the next room. Because I'm like, you can't do that. And you just said, yeah, you can do that. So, all right, I heard you.
Okay, well, so we have to give them credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be my suggestion going forward, because that'll make it go a little faster, and I want to really have you, make some good progress over the next week on this project.
Yes.
So as far as your homework goes, these are the tasks I suggest you would do.
Okay.
I would start by, well, there are two things I want you to do. I want you to continue what we're doing and go through the rest of the desk to sort out what's there, divide the stuff from the paper. And then as you're doing that, get rid of whatever you don't need to keep and whittle it down to what you need to keep. Okay, and then once you see in terms of the stuff what you're keeping, then we can discuss where it's going to get stored. Where on the desk is it going to be? And you can start doing that yourself, and we can talk about that some more next week. So that's the first piece. And the second piece of this is, as it relates to the paper, since you're keeping paper files, it's going to be important to clean out the 2 file drawers. So that there's a place to put the stuff the new stuff that needs to get filed.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So that would be the homework assignment, to clean out the file drawers, and then to see how much progress you can make on the desktop in terms of continuing to declutter it.
Okay. I can do that.
Does it seem like reasonable? Is it too much?
No, I think I could do that, because my goal is to really do something every day.
Okay.
Between today and next Friday, to make sure that I can make some headway with this, because the reward at the end of the tunnel is going to be able to actually use it and not use my dining room table.
Right, exactly. That's the goal. So basically, time every day, figure out if it's going to be a half hour, an hour, maybe it's a half hour twice a day, whatever's going to work in your schedule, make it work for you. If you have any questions, of course, I'm here for support, guidance. If you run into a roadblock, just reach out and let's talk. Okay, and I really look forward to seeing your progress in the next week. You did a great job today. Excellent. Great start.
Thank you. I'm excited. I feel awesome. I already feel lighter.
Good.
I feel better. That just goes to show how much energy clutter takes up in your spirit and in your psyche. When you just start releasing, you just start feeling lighter, and then you can open up to other new things in your life, new projects, new ideas. But when you have stuff, it just takes up room, takes up space.
No, it sucks the energy, definitely. There's mental clutter and physical clutter. Yes, very true.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, Stephanie. So you want to open it up? Are you ready?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Let's do some questions.
All right. So let's do some questions. So everybody, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you for coming into my private sanctuary. And my husband Rick said, how many people are we inviting in here? So this is a good thing. This is for all of us, right? So any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
My question relates to the business cards that were mentioned. I would like to have a way to kind of ditch 80% of the cards I've gotten, and I have no, I have my social media and I have my email list, and I still have a Rolodex. The question is, how do I choose who to really keep or prioritize, and how do I feed them into one of those streams?
Okay. So I'm sorry, to keep what were the two streams? It was the Rolodex and the digital?
It was the stream of email marketing.
Oh, email marketing. Okay.
Customer relationship marketing, social media, and how to classify people and follow up in a way that's manageable, say in like 2 hours a week or 1 hour a week, and get rid of the rest of the cards immediately.
Right.
I've
Well,
grappled with that.
do you use a CRM?
Yes, I do. But
Okay.
I don't want to put them all in there, because then
No.
it's like, I'm not, those aren't people I'm going to be following up with, really.
Right, but when you put them in the CRM, you can classify them in different ways, categorize them, so that you could have a way to code them so that you would know which path or which category they're in, and you can then better maintain the information and then just get rid of the cards.
I see. Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you, Stephanie.
Sure.
All right. So just to chime in, we have some people who might be entrepreneurs, business owners. They have their own practices. So probably our journey with Clutter is a little different than people who are trying to clear space in their homes, or maybe sometimes it's a little bit of both. So for people who don't go to events and network all the time, then you may not have as much of an issue bringing in business cards and things like that. So any other questions from anybody who's just like, I don't know what to do with all of this? But thank you, Janet, for that, because you have the same struggle that I have. So thank you for that. Anybody else have any other questions?
I do. Yeah, hi. So great to see you again, Stephanie, and kudos, Debra.
Thank you.
We're going vicariously through you.
Yes.
So my question is, for those of us who have content at home, for entrepreneurs, maybe this has, these are files related to programs we deliver, or marketing materials, or a million other things. Mm-hmm. And from the analog days, when less was done electronically, are there programs that you know of yet that if you scan something in, it can convert it to readable text? I mean, outside of, I'm not sure if an Adobe program that's really expensive would do that, but outside of that, is there a way to scan in something on a piece of paper that then is recognized through like AI to kind of guess at what the text is, so that we can turn it into an electronic file that's editable? Because then we could organize all of our stuff with our digital files and just make one filing system.
Got it. Okay. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know their scanners have certain capabilities with OCR in terms of, categorizing information, but I don't know for sure. I'd have to look into that and try to get back to you with some kind of an answer, unless somebody else here knows.
There are definitely some programs. ScanSoft with something that comes called the Doxy Go scanner. Comes with software that does that. There's so many different OCR scanning products right now that will scan what you put in it, turn it into searchable, and you can put it anywhere you want and search on any of the information in it.
I was going to say Rocketbook has these $15 beacons you can put on the corner of any piece of paper, no matter what the size is, and it'll scan it and convert it all to text. And then you can save it to whatever folder you want automatically. So
Rocketbook, or if you want to type, if it's easier to type it, that's okay too.
Will do.
Most PDF programs have something. Most PDF softwares.
Like I've been using OpenOffice, but it's really clunky for what I'd like to do massive scanning of 5 years of, or 10 years or 15 years of, highlights from past stuff to create an archive.
So ladies, thank you so much for this. I wanted to ask a question about the psychological piece of it. That, I am a clutter bug, and there are just piles everywhere. And I've done this process where I've sorted through and put things in different piles. And then I see how huge these piles are. They're actually big boxes of things. And I become really overwhelmed, very emotional. The closest I could describe is shame. That I feel this enormous amount of shame that I've even let it get to this part. I'm otherwise in my professional life so on top of things, but I just have clutter everywhere. My home office is literally just the start of it. How do we deal with that part, the part that feels so overwhelming and so shameful, even while we're in the process of doing this sorting?
Well, I would suggest a couple of things. First off, I appreciate the sense of being overwhelmed, especially if there's a lot of piles that you need to contend with. I would suggest, and I tell my clients this, that you need to first be committed to whatever the goal is. The goal could be a room, the goal could be one corner of the room, and I would start with a very realistic goal, especially if the room is very cluttered. And not say, okay, I want to do the whole room. I want to do this part by the door. Keep it very finite so it's attainable. And then once you do that, then really start small, and small steps, meaning that a commitment of a short amount of time, whatever works for you, whether it be a half hour, 45 minutes, to start with. I would start short, and then as you get into it and feel more comfortable and are seeing the progress, which is motivating, then make it a little bit longer, but don't make it into a sprint. Think of it as a marathon where it's got to be just steady, systematic progress. So it's small chunks, small bites, and have very specific tasks you want to accomplish every time you start. So if you're working for a half hour, say, okay, I'm going to do my top left desk drawer, and that's it. I'm stopping after that's done, and I'm walking away, and I'm patting myself on the back because I did a great job. I got it done. Okay, and then come back the next day and do the next drawer, and the same process. So make sure you're building in a reward mechanism into the process. The reward could be, I'm going to call my friend and just tell them what I did. Having an accountability partner is really helpful in these kinds of situations, because they're your cheerleader. They're the ones that'll keep you motivated.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for that, Stephanie. So we don't want to, well, we could take just a little bit more questions, but I didn't want to lose the opportunity of Stephanie's wonderful offer to help all of you individually, because, everybody needs a different type of help, and she can customize the solution for you. So Stephanie, you're up.
Sure, Deb. Okay, well, first off, I appreciate you all participating and being on this journey with us. And I wanted to offer a similar scenario to everybody on the call, which would mean we'd start with a 15-minute assessment call. Then we would do the 2 30-minute virtual organizing sessions a week apart. There would be accountability and guidance, and a follow-up call at the end of the second session, probably a week after it, to see where you are. And by doing all this, by investing the time, you'll end up with a really organized workspace that'll get you through the remainder of the pandemic, as well as serve you well once the crisis is behind us. Also, getting rid of the clutter will keep you more focused. And in these days especially, we all really need to work on staying focused. So that's a real key. And then systems. By doing all this, you'll have systems, because the ultimate objective is to maintain the space. So basically, you need systems to do that. So as I said to Deb, clutter is postponed decisions. Remember that. That immediately will force you to trash stuff and not pile it up. So with all that being said, I wanted to offer everybody a very special price of $197 for all of this. So thank you for joining us, and please come back next week and see how Deb did with her homework and her new home office will be unveiled.
Yes, you got to come back next week to see how this all pans out. See how I did with everything. And, you know, we're all works in progress, right? It just doesn't happen overnight. And the thing for me is just sustaining it. And, you know, working with someone like Stephanie, even just to have someone that can consult with you even periodically to tighten you up is good too, you know, and that's also something. I mean, we do PR and marketing. We kind of offer similar specials and packages to in the marketing and PR world for the same price point. But I did want to make sure that you guys who needed help with organization during COVID-19, that, you know, we got this call together to help all of us. And thank you, Stephanie, so much for everything.
Thank you, Debra.
Really
Thanks,
appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Stephanie.
Any other
Deb.
questions, guys? We got 2 more minutes.
I have a question.
It's 1:15.
I just wanted to give you an endorsement. Deb has done all the marketing for this, and she's done a phenomenal job. It's been really, you know, really fast. We've had to really pivot and just move things along much quicker than might ordinarily happen. And she's done a really, really good job of getting the word out. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so
Great.
much, Stephanie. It's
Thank
been
you.
a great partnership.
Yes,
Thank you,
definitely.
everybody, for joining the call. Any other questions, guys? We have room for at least 1 or 2. We're going to bounce off in another 2 minutes. Any other questions? Anything else? Well, you got to come back next Friday to see how I did with this.
Okay,
Yes.
good luck.
We'll do well.
Yeah, well, I promise I did really well in school. So my intention is to ace this exam.
Right.
And I might have to cram a little bit, but I will ace this exam. So that's my goal. So I put all of our like websites, go wellnesscircle.com, go businessconnect.com, lightofgoldpr.com, Stephanie's theorganizingzone.com. So feel free to reach out to us, but come back next Friday. Can't wait to see you.
See you
Thank
all
you.
then.
Look,
Have a
stay
good
well,
weekend.
stay
Bye-bye,
safe,
Stephanie.
everybody.
See you next
Bye-bye,
week.
Debra.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Take care. Great questions too.
Yeah, they were. They're really good.
Very good. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Stephanie.
Bye, Lynn.
Yes, this is very, very good. Very good. Yep.
There we go. Excellent.
I think it